Cold silence presses from every direction. Beneath the frozen skin of the North Atlantic, a steel giant drifts, sealed away from light, air, and time itself. For 201 days, HMS Vengeance has remained submerged, its heartbeat steady against the crushing weight of the sea. Within its narrow walls, 130 souls endure what few on Earth could survive. They rest in spaces smaller than a coffin, dine on meals prepared months before, and breathe air borne from the ocean itself. Each breath is a victory, each hour a test of will. Down here, the line between survival and surrender is thinner than steel. And yet, they endure. How do they eat, sleep, and remain human in a world that never sees the sun? The answer lies deep beneath the waves, where endurance becomes identity and silence becomes home. This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. Inside the belly of HMS Vengeance, space is not measured in feet. It's measured in inches. Steel corridors narrow into shadowed veins, pulsing with the hum of unseen machinery. The air is heavy, recycled through filters that never stop breathing. Every sound, the hiss of hydraulics, the murmur of cooling pumps, the rhythmic beat of the reactor, becomes part of the crew's pulse. Down here, silence is never truly silent. There are only 94 bunks for 135 sailors. That means someone is always awake and someone else is always asleep. The beds are stacked 3 high, each one no bigger than a coffin, 74 inches long, 25 inches wide, 18 inches of headroom. Privacy exists only behind a thin curtain, a fragile barrier between a sailor and the rest of the world. Inside that small cocoon, there's just enough space for a book, a photo, and a folded uniform. That's home. Hot bunking, that's what they call it. When one sailor finishes a 6-hour watch, another climbs into the same bed, still warm from the body that just left. Sheets absorb the heat, the scent, the fatigue of whoever came before. The rhythm never breaks. It's a relay of exhaustion. One sailor trading dreams for duty, another trading duty for a few stolen hours of sleep. It's not comfort they seek, but survival. The cycle of life underwater is unlike anywhere else. Time bends here. There are no mornings, no sunsets, no stars. The crew once lived by an 18-hour clock, 6 hours on duty, 12 off. But fatigue became an enemy, creeping into judgment and precision. The Navy adapted, shifting to a 24-hour rhythm. Now, sailors live by artificial dawns and digital midnights, their watches ruled by the red glow of control panels and the distant ticking of machinery. Each bunk comes with a small locker, about the size of a briefcase. Everything a sailor owns for 3 months must fit inside. No souvenirs, no spare luxuries. Space is sacred, and so is order. The smell of metal, detergent, and oil seeps into every stitch of fabric. A single misplaced boot can block a passageway. A loose item in rough seas could become a weapon. Here, discipline isn't just protocol, it's protection. Yet, in this claustrophobic world, small rituals become anchors of sanity. Before sleeping, some sailors tape family photos above their bunks. A child's drawing, a letter, a wedding picture creased by time. Others read until their eyes close, letting the hum of the reactor lull them into dreams that sound like the ocean itself. The vibrations through the hull become a lullaby. The steady drone of the engines, the soft shudder of pressure against steel, these are the sounds of life below the surface. In the galley, A narrow passage barely wide enough for 2 men to pass. The scent of instant coffee and reheated meals cuts through the recycled air. Conversations are brief, voices low. Someone laughs, and the sound ricochets down the corridor like a reminder of humanity. Someone else stares at a clock that never tells the real time. Every man and woman aboard carries an invisible weight, the awareness that above them lies 800 feet of crushing darkness. Still, they adapt. The body learns the rhythm, the mind accepts the confinement. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. The same walls, the same footsteps, the same narrow hallway that feels smaller each time you walk it. Even in sleep, the submarine never rests. Pumps thrum like mechanical heartbeats. Air compressors sigh and click. Somewhere in the distance, a sonar pulse echoes like a slow heartbeat against the hull. Proof that the ocean is still there, waiting. This is the foundation of submarine life. The art of endurance disguised as routine. A world where space is rationed, air is manufactured, and comfort is an illusion. Yet, through it all, the crew finds ways to belong, to carve humanity out of metal. But the ocean is patient. It listens. It presses its cold hands against the hull and waits for a single mistake. Down here, in the silence between machinery and heartbeat, danger never sleeps. Down here, survival isn't about heroism. It's about logistics, about math, about discipline so absolute that a single mistake could mean death. Every breath, every bite, every drop of water, calculated, rationed, stored in silence. Feeding 130 people for 90 days without a single grocery store run is an engineering miracle disguised as routine. Before deployment, Vengeance swallows nearly 15,000 pounds of food, a cargo of survival packed into every hidden space. Canned beans fill the hallways, boxes of rations line the floors. For the first few weeks, sailors literally walk on top of their meals. Even some bunks rest on crates of food sealed in plastic. The crew jokes about it, but everyone knows. They're sleeping on their own lifeline. As the days go by, the floor lowers. Cans vanish, boxes disappear. Space returns, but only because the food is gone. Every meal brings them one step closer to the end of the mission, or to hunger. In the galley, 2 cooks work around the clock inside a space smaller than a home bathroom. No flames, no open fire, just the hum of convection ovens, the hiss of steam, and the smell of fried oil clinging to the air vents. The menu rotates with precision. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and midnight rations. 4 meals a day to fuel the shifts that never stop. Ribeye, chicken, powdered eggs, coffee thick enough to wake the dead. Ice cream stored for morale, served when spirits start to dip. It's not luxury. It's survival disguised as normalcy. Down here, food isn't just nourishment. It's sanity. A hot meal can silence the hum of exhaustion, even if only for a moment. But the real challenge isn't hunger. It's air. Submariners live inside a machine that breathes for them. Oxygen doesn't come from wind or trees. It's born from seawater, torn apart molecule by molecule in a process called electrolysis. The reactor's electricity splits hydrogen and oxygen, feeding life back into the steel lungs of the ship. Each day, 78,000 liters of oxygen are created, invisible, vital, unseen. Still, there's a cost. For every breath of oxygen, the crew exhales carbon dioxide, poison in confined air. If CO2 rises too high, judgment falters, panic sets in, consciousness fades. That's why chemical scrubbers run non-stop, absorbing the gas like unseen sentinels. Soda lime, calcium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide. Ordinary chemicals turned into silent guardians. The smell is faint, metallic. The risk is constant. One valve left open, one reaction delayed, one filter clogged, and the atmosphere turns against them. Water, too, must be created. The submarine's distillation plant boils seawater into steam, condenses it into pure liquid, and stores it in tanks. Enough to supply a small town, yet never truly enough to waste. Showers last minutes. Soap first, rinse later. Even washing dishes is timed. The ocean gives water, but only if the crew respects the balance. Every system is a heartbeat. Pumps, compressors, filters, fans, each one keeping death at bay. Down here, silence isn't peace, it's pressure. When the noise stops, hearts race. Because silence means something's wrong. And when the air feels too still, or the lights flicker for a second too long, every sailor remembers. The ocean is always waiting to reclaim them. Waste is another enemy. Every flush, every drop, every scrap must be managed. Vacuum toilets suck waste into tanks pressurized by air, then released far from shore. Even garbage becomes a threat if handled carelessly. Compact it wrong, release it too soon, the sound could give away their position. The ocean hears everything. There's no glamour here, no sunlight breaking through water, just discipline and endurance. Down here, isolation sharpens the mind but wears down the soul. The air feels heavy, the walls closer every day. Jokes become shorter, tempers sharper. A misplaced word can echo longer than sonar. After weeks, time loses meaning. The clock might say midnight, but the body doesn't know. The smell of oil replaces the smell of weather. The skin forgets what sunlight feels like. Some sailors close their eyes and try to remember what rain sounds like. And yet, the mission continues. Machines keep breathing, hearts keep beating. In this confined world of pressure and precision, one truth echoes louder than any sonar ping. The deeper you go, the smaller the mistakes you can afford. Because down here, perfection isn't a choice. It's survival. If you lived 200 days underwater, what would you miss first? Light or silence? There are no politics on a submarine. No debates, no sides, no noise of the surface world. Down here there's only duty, and the man or woman standing beside you. Every sailor knows the rule. Leave your opinions at the hatch, because in a world this small, divided hearts can't survive. Noise discipline is sacred. Every sound travels through steel like a whisper through water. Somewhere, someone is always sleeping. So doors close softly, voices drop low. Even laughter is quiet, shared in brief bursts before fading back into the hum of machinery. Respect becomes muscle memory, a language unspoken but always understood. In this silence, something deeper grows, a bond forged not by comfort but by necessity. You trust the hand beside you more than your own shadow. You share air, food, and fear. You share the weight of the ocean. And somehow, that weight binds you tighter than any friendship on land. They call it the brotherhood. But it's more than that. It's survival through unity. When a valve leaks, when the lights flicker, when an alarm breaks the quiet, there's no panic. Just motion, precision, faith. Each crew member knows their role, their rhythm, their place in the machine. Every heartbeat in sync, every breath part of one living organism. Only 1% of Navy personnel ever serve on submarines. 1% who choose confinement over comfort, silence over recognition, darkness over daylight. They don't do it for medals or fame. They do it because someone has to guard the unseen, because peace above depends on vigilance below. Earning your dolphins, the silver pin that marks a qualified submariner, isn't a ceremony. It's a transformation. Every sailor must learn every system, every emergency, every way to save the ship and the lives within it. They are tested, pushed, doubted. When they finally pin those dolphins to their chest, they aren't just symbols, they're proof. Proof that you've mastered fear. Proof that your crewmates can trust you with their lives. In the dark, they found each other. In isolation, they found meaning. In silence, they found strength. But strength is never without cost. History remembers the stories written in sacrifice. April 14, 1945. The German submarine U-1206 patrolled the North Sea. Deep below the surface, a simple mistake in the pressure system of its toilet flooded the compartment with seawater and sewage. The water reached the batteries. Chlorine gas began to fill the air. The captain ordered an emergency surfacing. Within minutes, British aircraft spotted the sub and attacked. The ship was lost. Men died because of one wrong valve. That story echoes through every generation of submariners. It's a reminder that the line between safety and disaster is measured in seconds. That discipline is not a rule. It's a shield. And yet, despite that knowledge, they still go. They still volunteer for missions that last months, for patrols that test the limits of human endurance. HMS Vengeance, 201 days underwater, a record that exists not to boast, but to prove what human will can endure when purpose is clear. For 7 months, that crew lived without sunlight, without weather, without touch from the outside world. But they returned home stronger, sharper, bound by something the surface could never understand. Life aboard isn't just service. It's sacrifice turned into purpose, pain turned into pride. Down here, no one fights for glory. They fight for the voice beside them in the dark. They fight for the unseen safety of millions above. Every submarine carries 2 kinds of pressure, one from the ocean and one from within, but both are survived the same way. Together. And when they surface, blinking into sunlight they haven't seen in months, they carry with them a silence that never truly leaves. Because once you've lived where the sun doesn't reach, you never forget what unity feels like in the dark. In the dark, they found each other. In the darkness, they became one. As the crew of HMS Vengeance completes its long descent into history, the ocean closes behind them. Vast, eternal, silent. But somewhere inside that silence, the echoes of their brotherhood remain, pulsing like sonar through time. Could you find strength in silence, the way they do beneath the waves? They leave behind sunlight. They leave behind fresh air, blue skies, and the warmth of human touch. They trade the sound of wind for the hum of machinery, the sight of stars for the glow of control panels, and the comfort of home for the weight of the ocean pressing above them. Every patrol begins the same way. Quiet handshakes, last words, and the slow descent beneath the waves. For months, these men and women vanish from the world. No phone calls, no messages, no sunlight, just steel, silence, and trust. They do not ask for recognition. They do not seek applause. While others live freely under open skies, They serve in the dark so that freedom can shine above. Their sacrifice is invisible, but its impact touches every sunrise we take for granted. Inside that narrow hull, they carry more than weapons. They carry the burden of peace. Every switch they flip, every code they follow, every breath they take beneath the surface holds the weight of national safety. They live between two worlds, one built of technology, the other of faith. Faith in their crew, faith in the mission, faith that what they endure keeps others safe. Theirs is a service of silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because their duty demands it. The ocean becomes their confessional, their chapel, their test of endurance. And in that silence, courage speaks louder than words ever could. Freedom, after all, is not just defended by the ones we see in parades or hear in speeches. It is protected by those we never see, the silent warriors drifting far below the waves. Every peaceful morning, every calm horizon, every ordinary moment of life is a debt paid by those who live without them. They are ghosts of the deep, guardians unseen. Their world is measured not in miles, but in endurance, not in glory, but in grace. When they finally surface after months in darkness, they emerge changed. Sunlight stings their eyes. The wind feels strange on their skin. But in that moment, they know they've kept the promise. They've done their part so others could live unafraid. And when the flag waves above, it's not just for the ones we know. It's for the voices that stayed silent so others could sing. They are America's quiet defenders. They are the heartbeat of peace. They are the ones who endure so the rest of us can dream. Beneath the ocean, courage has no audience. Beneath the waves, sacrifice has no name. Yet from that darkness, freedom rises every day because of them. To those who serve in silence, thank you. You are seen, even in the depths where light cannot reach. This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. If you could send one message to those beneath the waves, what would you say?